Welcome, everybody, to our council meeting, May 3rd, 2022. I see everybody's in attendance, from senior staff to members of council. Welcome back. I do believe we had a nice little Easter break. So it's been a while since we met, specifically April 5th, and we'll turn to the minutes and action report there in a moment. But first, I'll call for a motion, please, to adopt the agenda here today. Moved by the deputy mayor and seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. The lands acknowledgement. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories. Council, I refer you to the minutes for April 5th, 2022. I'm looking now first for errors or omissions before we talk about any business arising. Council, I refer you to. All right, I'll accept the motion for the minutes. Councillor Fry and Councillor Anto, all in favor? Those opposed? Carried. And business arising now. Please quote the item number in the action report or the minutes from April 5. Motion for the minutes, Councillor Fry and Councillor Anto, all in favor? Those opposed? Carried. And business arising now. Should be a short meeting. Report or the minutes from April 5. Proclamations, and I want to welcome Kimberly Yetman-Dawson. Kimberly, you're the Executive Director of the Canadian Mental Health Association here in Newfoundland and Labrador. CEO, sounds even better. And it's a big organization and an important organization, not only in our community, but here in the province of Newfoundland. So I'd like to welcome you. Thanks for attending. Proclamation is for Mental Health Week 2022. Whereas CMHA Mental Health Week promotes mental health awareness through education campaigns, activities, and events held across Newfoundland and Labrador, and offers practical ways to maintain and improve mental health and support recovery from mental health problems and illnesses. Whereas the Canadian Mental Health Association encourages everyone to get real for mental health. Before you weigh in, tune in to improve mental health for all Canadians. And whereas awareness and understanding of mental health will promote the use of mental health services and supports and ensure Canadians with mental health problems and illnesses are afforded the opportunity to recover. And whereas the Canadian Mental Health Association actively supports and encourages good mental health in all aspects of our lives during CMHA Mental Health Week and throughout the year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of Mount Pearl City Council, we hereby proclaim the week of May 2nd to the 8th as Canadian Mental Health Association Mental Health Week. And I encourage all of our citizens to join us and hashtag get real about what mental health really is. And I have an electronic copy, which I will affix my signature to right now. Council, I invite you to offer any particular comments. I know Councillor Fry is involved with the group with the municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. Would you like to speak of some of the experiences and the good work that you and your colleagues are doing?
Well, I would absolutely love to speak to this, Your Worship. Thank you, Kimberly, for coming in. This is an important proclamation, but you know, this is Canadian Mental Health Week, but mental health is something that we should be talking about all year, not just for this week. I was looking at the, I believe one of the themes for this year is empathy. And I just looked up the definition, and empathy is the ability and willingness to see and understand feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another. And I think that is a perfect word for mental health, because the stigma associated with mental health it's antiquated. You know, everybody now has been touched in some way. 1 in 5 Canadians experience mental health and mental wellness. Everybody is affected by mental wellness. And this past couple of years alone with the pandemic, I mean, everybody has experienced different feelings and emotions. I mean, there's been everything from stress and anxiety and grief and anger and frustration and isolation and everything in between. So when you talk about mental wellness, people who experience these emotions, it's real. And this does affect your mental wellness. So to be able to talk about this and to have this proclamation here and to talk about it all year round is extremely important, because everybody goes through tough times, and to have a lens of empathy when you're talking with people who are struggling, or people who maybe need a little bit extra empathy. I love this word now. It's going to be my new buzzword. I think it's incredible. And I'm also very proud to be part of the Municipal Mental Health Task Force. And that is a group that has come together through a resolution at a municipality's Newfoundland and Labrador event a couple of years ago. And we meet once a month, and we also do webinars every the third Thursday of every month. We have guest speakers come in, and it's really important to talk about it, especially for municipal leaders as well, municipal leaders, municipal councilors. Like, for example, one time we had a guest speaker come in to talk about PTSD and firefighters and how PTSD affects them and what they go through. Well, there are a lot of municipalities across the province who have volunteer fire departments. So something like that is important for people to know, so that they can have empathy towards those who are affected by it. And I digress, because I could talk on about this, but I'm really excited to see this here. Thank you, Kimberly, for coming. And I would gladly talk about mental health any day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice, and then the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I just like to add on to what Councillor Fry is saying. It's so important, I guess, in this time of COVID times. The last couple of years have been really tough, and I see that actually through my current job with Eastern Health. And it's people are really suffering in healthcare. I see healthcare workers and people who have been frontline workers who I guess we had to increase resources regarding counseling, support, any type of help you can give healthcare workers. We see that we had to step it up and really try to help them out. One thing I'd like to add, and I'm going to give this correspondence actually to Arlene after, actually. April 29th, this came from actually Eastern Health Memorandum. Mental Health and Addictions Emergency Services wishes to inform you that it is transitioning to its provincial mental health crisis line to 811 effective Monday, May the 2nd, 2022 at 8 a.m. So this is already into effect. This will include automatic forwarding the existing mental health crisis line numbers. I won't read those out to the 811 as of this date. So this is great news, more resources with the 811 line. And I know we have, a lot of support for mental health, and going forward, we need more support. I'm always an advocate for mental health because, I'm personally touched by it myself in my family. And, it's a challenge at a lot of times, to try to get the proper help and the proper care, and the obstacles that people are facing in the province. It's very, very difficult. And a lot of times you see people having to go outside the province to get proper help. So I'm an advocate for it. I'd like to see it move forward more. And I'd like to see the provincial government actually step up and do, they're doing a lot now, but they can do more. There's always more and help more. So thank you, Worship, for that.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And thank you so much to my colleagues who've spoken passionately and personally about this matter. Thank you, Kimberly, for coming here. This is a matter also near and dear to my heart. I know it personally, I know it professionally, 20 years working in community with some organizations like the Sexual Assault Center and with women's groups. Mental health is absolutely everything in our community. We cannot thrive, work, live, and be the healthy community are if we don't have mental wellness. So this is such an important week, but as my colleagues have demonstrated, there's so much to be done, and it has to be outside of the purview of one awareness week, one awareness day, and wherever we can move that. I do also want to say, last night I was watching on Netflix Brene Brown's The Courage to Dare Greatly. And she talks a lot about courage and vulnerability. And I think the theme of this year, when we talk about empathy, it is a way to connect people that is so important. And that is what's really, I think, an important part of when we think about mental health. It's easy to feel isolated. It's easy to feel alone. It's easy to see that, there's nowhere possibly how can I move out of this? And then when you look at empathy and connecting that, you're not alone, that there's members there is help. And I want to say well done to the Canadian Mental Health Association for this campaign. I love your toolkit. I love the work around the empathy. I think the hashtag Get Real about how to help offer some real tangible and practical things. And I encourage anyone to take a look at everything. You can change everything from your Facebook post. You can actually put in post yourself. Super easy to do. And I think it's a really great way that we can drive empathy, not only in our day-to-day, but on a social media, a larger, wider perspective. So I really do appreciate the work you're doing and the value of this campaign. It means so much to so many people. And well done. And thank you so much for bringing it into our chambers. This is a conversation we have had in so many ways in all of our committee work. Mental health is a matter of safety. It's a matter of wellness. It's a matter of how we thrive. So thank you very much.
Well, I thought we'd get a picture done with Kimberly, and yeah, we can try. Got to keep some.
I think we're perfect right here. Bill, get in the back, Bill. It's good.
We got a haircut last night. Had to get a little bit of a trimming, if you know what I mean. Now, Kim, you're welcome to stay if you want. These are exciting meetings, right? Now, take care. Say hi to Todd. All right, proclamation for Municipal Awareness Week, May 9th to the 13th. And I'm going to ask our CAO perhaps to fill us in on some of the details that staff have got planned. Whereas municipal government is responsible for the provision of services that enhance the quality of life of its citizens. And whereas dedicated mayors, councillors, and staff are essential for the effective governance of their municipalities. And whereas collaboration, partnerships, and citizen involvement are essential for active, sustainable, and vibrant communities. And whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize and encourage the contribution of all who work diligently for the improvement of our municipalities. Therefore, be it proclaimed that May 9th to the 13th be known as Municipal Awareness Week in the municipalities of Newfoundland and Labrador and Mount Pearl, in recognition of the vital role of municipal government and in recognition of all those efforts that support it. I hereby declare on behalf of Mount Pearl City Council, May 9th to the 13th as Municipal Awareness Week here in the city of Mount Pearl, and so signed. CAO, would you like to offer the what some of the events or the activities we have planned?
Thanks, Your Worship. As we all know here, Municipal Awareness Week is near and dear to our hearts and a very important week. And in the spirit of awareness, we're working with local schools to have some activities for Municipal Awareness Week. So our events coordinator has been reaching out to the schools, predominantly, I think, the elementary and younger kids. And we'll be showcasing some of our equipment and having some activities for the kids, and maybe even a little bit of competition and a contest related to some municipal awareness themes. So we're looking forward to that, and I hope most council can join in. We'll notify everybody of the actual dates and locations as we get some more details hammered out.
Thank you much. Any further commentary, folks? Hearing none, let's move on to a proclamation that's been read many times in this chamber. It's about World Ovarian Cancer Day, which is May 8th, 2022. Today, we raise awareness for ovarian cancer, recognizing that those who have died and offered support to those who continue to fight. Whereas the Canadian Cancer Society estimates that close to 3,100 women and girls of all ages will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2022. 63% of these people diagnosed will not live to see 5 years. And whereas ovarian cancer is the most fatal gynecological cancer in Canada, and yet the survival rate of women diagnosed with ovarian cancer in Canada has not changed in over 50 years. Early detection of the disease remains the best way to save lives. However, there is no reliable screening test for ovarian cancer. Symptoms include abdominal pressure or bloating, digestive problems, excess fatigue, frequent urination, and changes in bowel habit. And whereas the Women of Hope group was created in 2016 and now has over 2,700 members worldwide, the group's mandate is to offer support for affected females, their families, and friends to raise awareness for ovarian cancer and encourage the Teal movement. Therefore, be it resolved that I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of Mount Pearl City Council, together we proclaim May 8th, 2022 as World Ovarian Cancer Day here in the city of Mount Pearl. And of course, this was offered to us by Nikki Glynn, and her sister was always a regular here. And I'm going to ask Councillor Fry, I think, to speak to that.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am very pleased to speak to this one. As the mayor has said, the Women of Hope group was started by a lady by the name of Susan Glynn. And I first met Susan at a proclamation here when I first got elected on council. And she was telling me about ovarian cancer. And of course, I always thought that as a woman, you get your regular pap test and you think that you're screening for all of the female cancers, shall we say, but it's not the case. It's not the case with ovarian cancer. And this really surprised me because I think a lot of women just assume that, you take care of yourself, you get your regular exams, that type of thing, but there is no screening, no pre-screening for ovarian cancer. And speaking with Susan, she had ovarian cancer. She had, 50 or 60 rounds of chemo, and she was such a strong advocate for this purpose because when she was diagnosed, she looked for a support group. There were none. So she started one, and now there are over 2,700 members worldwide. And her goal was to educate women on this disease because it's one of the largest killers of female cancer. I mean, even the proclamation here says 63% of people diagnosed will not live to see 5 years. And in this day and age, this is something that needs more attention. And Susan developed this poster, and I kept it here. And I guess the biggest thing, when she talks about the different symptoms, this is called the 4B poster. And it's bloating, bladder, bowel, and blah, tired, weak, short of breath, nausea, poor appetite. Well, I'm sure every woman out there has experienced these symptoms, not just women, but men too. But these are the kind of symptoms, they're so common that it's easy to pass it off. So therefore, awareness like this is extremely important. Unfortunately, Susan passed away this past year, and I will never forget her. She certainly made an impact on me. And as long as I'm around, I will continue to educate women on the 4 Bs and to take care of their health. So in thinking of Susan tonight because this is the first World Ovarian Cancer proclamation since I've been elected on council that Susan is not here, and I know she would be. But you know, this is something that we just wanted to mention, just to mention the importance of this, because like I say, a lot of women don't realize that this is an issue. So to just be aware of the 4 Bs. And this poster, actually, it's gone all around the world. It's been translated, and I've lost count of how many languages it's been translated in, but I see it in hospitals and places. And this was Susan. One person can make a difference. And that's all. I wear my ribbon today and wear teal proudly. So that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Oh.
So I think I know I should say on May 8th, we're going to light up City Hall in teal. So everybody, if they'd like to come down and get a picture, that might be the best time to do it together. The next proclamation is World Press Freedom Day, which is today, May 3rd, 2022. Whereas each year on May 3rd, UNESCO recognizes World Press Freedom Day, and whereas a healthy professional news media is essential for the proper functioning of civil society and democracy at the local, regional, federal, and international levels. And whereas Canada's federal government acknowledged in its 2019 budget that a strong and independent news media is crucial to a well-functioning democracy. And whereas municipalities across Canada are recognizing World Press Freedom Day by issuing proclamations and/or lighting structures, including city halls, signs, and/or bridges. And whereas civic recognition will raise public awareness of the crucial role local journalism plays in strengthening communities. Therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, together with my colleagues on council, we do hereby proclaim May 3rd, today, as World Press Freedom Day here in the city of Mount Pearl. And I'll affix my signature on that during this council meeting. Any comments, folks? Any questions? Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to take an opportunity to recognize and thank the amount of journalists within our small community that ensures that, as you know, as a politician and as a government, journalists and the freedom of press is an important part of our democracy and is an important part of our accountability and sharing of information, accurate information to our public and to our residents. And I just want to thank you for all your work from the news outlets, the students, and those that continue to ask questions. I think it's important that all of us are put to the questions. Sometimes it's easier than others, but it is the best thing we can do to ensure a healthy, democratic government. So I think it's so important, and especially with what's going on in the world today, what's been going on with within COVID. A lot of what we've been able to see in our community and be able to communicate is because of journalists and bringing attention to that. And so I just wanted to acknowledge and thank those that are within that realm of work and ensuring that our democratic freedoms and our rights are being observed and protected, and also absolutely upheld by the work you do through journalism. So that's all I'd like to say.
Well said. Councillor Locke, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. And further to Deputy Mayor's commentary there. As a high school educator here in our province, one of the key things that we focus on is critical analysis with our students, and the challenges that our young folk now have with discerning what is accurate information and the importance of relying on, I always say, you know, the go-to sites for me are the professional journalistic sites, because they have a certain standard, a certain level of ethics. And of course, we've seen the undermining of the press and the media over the last number of years through various governments around the world where they attack the press. So if you undermine the press and the professional journalists, well, then you undermine the information that's out there, which again impacts our democratic freedoms and our functioning society. So if nothing else, the fact that I'm delighted it's here today, just to bring attention to the world press and the importance of the freedom of the press, and to help people realize and be critical and cynical of those that are attacking the free press and using, various words to undermine the work they do. Because as our deputy mayor said, they play a huge role in keeping our residents informed, in letting our people around the world right now, we live in the global village right now, so that we know what's on the go in Ukraine, for example, and other areas of conflict, because it's these journalists that in many cases risk their lives to go there and bring the information back. So it's critical for me as an educator to help our young folk know that 140 characters is not necessarily the best spot to get in-depth journalistic investigation. So again, I'm delighted this is here today, and I fully support it. Thank you, Mayor.
All good. The final proclamation is related to multiple sclerosis, which is a chronic, often disabling neurological disease affecting an estimated 1 in 400 Canadians and approximately 90,000 people across our country. And whereas multiple sclerosis symptoms vary widely and may lead to problems with numbness, coordination, vision and speech, as well as extreme fatigue and even paralysis. And whereas there is no known cause, prevention of, or cure for multiple sclerosis, and whereas the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada is the only national organization in Canada that supports both MS research and services for people with MS and their families. And whereas annual fundraising events such as the MS Walk, the MS Bike, and A&W Canada Burgers to Beat MS campaign support programs to enhance the lives of people affected by multiple sclerosis and their families, and to support MS research in Canada. And whereas in 1948, the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada has contributed $200 million towards MS research and is grateful for the dedication and commitment of its volunteers and supporters that has made this possible. And whereas together we will find ways to connect and empower the MS community to create positive change and see a world free of multiple sclerosis. Therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, together with my colleagues here in the city of Mount Pearl, we do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 to be MS Awareness Month on behalf of the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. And I believe we will be displaying City Hall in red in coming days. And I'm going to invite council to speak, and I see Councillor Antle has his hand up already.
Your worship, thank you very much. Just a quick note. I mean, we're all familiar with, we have a local chapter here on the Avalon Peninsula called the Smiling Warriors. And the Smiling Warriors is a local MS support group. They're not affiliated with MS Canada. It's a local group started by a Mount Pearl resident, Zita Kavanagh Taylor. And she started this group in 2019. And her main goal then was to support people living with MS and their families. Their goal also was to involve communities by education and teaching others about MS and how it affects their lives. One thing with MS with Smiling Warriors is a great support group. They don't do any fundraising. It's a non-profit group. This is led by volunteers only, mostly living with MS. And when they say mostly living with MS, I think we've been all involved in different groups when they've been around. And it's they're like a family. And I mean, they certainly show their support. The group is all supported by all volunteers. And they made a point that they're not part of MS Society, but they do support everything that MS Society does bring to the table. Their message to MS is you don't have to travel the world, but don't have to travel alone. They always got lots of support for you. Because of COVID, they never had any support meetings. They all met in line. And, as we talked about mental health, it certainly affected them too. They couldn't get together. But they did have many, many guest speakers over the past couple of years. In particular, they had the researchers, Dr. Craig Moore and Dr. Michelle Plowman, and they certainly helped them out a lot. And they're available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And anybody needs any support on MS, just contact Zita. Thank you, Your Worship.
Good stuff. Anybody else? Well, hearing none, Council, why don't we go on to committee reports? Tonight, we're going to start off Infrastructure and Public Works. Councillor Rice, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So number one on our IPW is contract recommendation for 2022 asphalt crack sealing, TP 22-009. The background, this one, the committee was advised that the tender for the 2022 asphalt crack sealing closed on March the 10th, 2022, and we had one bid for this tender. The qualified bidder was Crown Contracting Incorporated with a bid amount of $52,325 HST included. So recommendation from IPW is to accept that one bid, and the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee recommends the contract for 2022 asphalt crack sealing TP-22-009 be awarded to Crown Contracting Incorporated for the bid amount, as I mentioned, $52,325, which is within the budget, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice, seconded by Councillor Fry. Question, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question for Director Antle. Just curious, this year, we had a bizarre winter and we didn't have a lot of frost. And anecdotally, I'm noticing more cracks in the pavement as I'm out for my walks and bike rides. And is that indeed the case? Is this typical of, do we tend to see more of these cracks with the type of winter that we had? And I know each year we budget an amount. In this case, it's just over 52,000. Is that an amount that we figure will get all of the significant cracks done in the city? Are we aiming for 80% of the major cracks? Is this adequate to seal everything that we need to be sealing? Because I'm sure we did the assessment prior to this particular, up and down in our temperatures. So I'm just curious, first of all, do we have more cracks? And secondly, might you think we might need more of crack sealing given the winter that we just had?
Director Antle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Locke. Cracks on the asphalt, it's highly variable. It is impacted by age, settlement, frost heave, and what have you. We have an amount we use, we seek council's approval for a budget every year that we seek to strive to address the streets that we believe we can extend their life most adequately. We don't do streets that we know we're doing near-term capital works projects on. Crack sealing does indeed provide great preventative maintenance. It enables us to extend the service life of the asphalt surface. It's a long way of me getting to answer your question that this year, I can't tell you if I think there's more or less. I certainly have noticed anecdotally the same as you've done. We have not measured it. We don't measure the cracks in the city. It'd be such an expensive proposition to measure them. We'd probably spend more time inspecting than we would actually doing the crack sealing. So we spend our effort doing the actual crack sealing work. And then we have a budget that council approves on our asphalt and concrete repairs. And we move that around. So we'll move some of the asphalt and concrete budget to this, or we'll move it back to asphalt and concrete repairs in a total budget package. So it's really something that's it's highly variable for us to measure how much crack sealing we need in a given year.
Thank you. Your Worship.
Councillor Antle, from Director Antle to Councillor Antle.
There you go. Just two quick questions. First off, there was only one bid. Is that normal to only have one bid? And secondly, $52,000, is that comparable to last year?
Thank you, Councillor Randall. This is one of the projects, one of the tenders that we issue that we usually get very few bids. It's been a case in the past, we've only had one. So there's just not that many contractors into this line of business, and this is one that's particularly into this work. This is different years, we estimate different amounts. This year is within what we estimated what the cost would have been. It does reflect when we check the actual unit price, it's higher than previous years. That's what we expect is reflective of asphalt and particularly the oil prices. So that's where you're seeing the increase here compared to previous years.
I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Okay, Your Worship, I'd like to pass this second one along to my colleague, Councillor Fry, for the status reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. So just some status reports. Winter and other maintenance is ongoing, as well as pothole repairs and repairs to bridges and boardwalks on the trails. It's the time of year for potholes. And I think everybody has seen them creeping up, not just here in Mount Pearl, but everywhere. And I just want for the information of public to remind people that we do have a citizen reporter on our website.
Hmm.
So if you see an issue, we want to know. Because, our crews work hard to make sure it's safe and repair what they can. And if a resident sees something that they want us to know, let us know and we'll go and fix it. Our pedestrian underpass work is starting up in June, and line painting, so that's street marking. So repainting lines is done based upon appropriate weather, and that's temperature, wind, et cetera, and road conditions like salt and dust and sand. So the work will be done over the next several weeks, given these limitations. Priority will be given to areas at intersections to reestablish line marking and crosswalk blocks. Line dotting will be done as a first step and will provide some driver guidance. And the public is cautioned to drive slow and careful as this work proceeds as soon as possible. I know we're all anxious to get our lines marked again. Earth Day was April 22nd, and the theme was Invest in Our Planet. And it really resonated with us because Mount Pearl realizes our investment in our city and contributes to the betterment of our planet. So in 2020, the city of Mount Pearl developed a climate change action plan, and that is designed to help us reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 4% overall by 2025 and 25% overall by 2050. And that's cutting our water consumption by over 4 billion liters. In 2014, our public works team implemented a leak detection program that has played a big role in reducing our water consumption. And that work continues to benefit the city. I believe a number of years ago, there was an article, I think Councillor Locke has mentioned this on a couple of occasions, how Mount Pearl were water hogs. We had such a large consumption of water. And that's something that that we didn't take lightly. So there's been a lot of work done on our leak detections. And in 2020, Mount Pearl achieved the lowest water consumption on record in 23 years and achieved the 6th year in a row of water consumption decreases. So this places Mount Pearl as trending as one of the lowest per capita water consuming municipalities in the province, something that we are all really proud of. So while we've had some leaks in our water distribution system over the past couple of years, we have made repairs through the great efforts of our Public Works and UTM team. And February 2022 is now the lowest February water consumption on record. And March 2022 is basically tied with 2020 with the lowest water consumption on record. And this is something that we're really proud of. And that's it for our infrastructure and public works this evening.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move to the Community Development Committee. Councillor Lane, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first thing here tonight is the Mount Pearl Sports Alliance Second Installment 2022 Community Grant Allocation. So the committee recommends approval to release the Sports Alliance second and final installment of the 2022 Community Grant Program, and the amount of $80,000, which will be distributed for each of the 13 Sport Alliance member sport organizations, as per the MOU between the city and the Mount Pearl Sports Alliance. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Antle. Any comments, questions? Pretty routine item coming right from our budget, I believe. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Carried.
Okay, next we have the Admiralty House Communications Museum, first installment of the 2022 operating subsidy. So the committee recommends approval to release the Admiralty House Communications Museum's first installment of the 2022 operating subsidy in the amount of $45,000 as per the MOU between the city and the museum. And I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Antle. Any comments, council? Any questions? Hearing none. I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? Carried.
Okay, next for number 3, we have the summer day camp registration for July 4th to August 26th, 2022. And yes, summer is just around the corner, so I think we're all looking forward to that. For the information of the public, registration will commence on Tuesday, May 31st for Mount Pearl residents and Thursday, June 2nd for non-residents. Note that registration is online only and space is limited. Camps will begin on July 4th and will run for 8 weeks until August 26th. Camp runs daily, Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And early drop-off is 7:45 to 8:30 a.m. and late pickup is 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. It's available with an additional fee for each.
Oh, please, yes.
Just wondering with our summer day camps, are we back to full capacity or are there still COVID restrictions?
There are currently no public health measures, so we're back at full capacity.
Mhm. Councillor Rice. sorry
Yes,
about that.
I got one question as well. Just wondering, the camps, like, the numbers are the same as, I guess, in previous years prior to COVID? So is there anything, I know, because like with the last couple of years with everything which at a standstill, I know this is going to be a crucial for a lot of parents to get a lot of their kids into the camps. Is there any consideration? I know we're probably limited on space, but is there any consideration on putting on an extra camp or extra time, or like if we got the resources for that? I know because we got some extra staff now this summer for summer staff. I'm just wondering if there was any consideration for that.
Right now for the summer, we're looking at pre-COVID numbers. So the same number of camps, same capacities. So we haven't explored adding an extra at this point. But previously that's met the demand.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have any extra staff hired for the summer though, for clarity. I think it's about the same. Trying to get us back to the pre-COVID numbers and program activities. But to Councillor Rice's question, I guess, or point, if we did have a very highly excessive number of applications, we would work to find a way perhaps to create capacity, or
Best, yeah.
are we really limited by the footprint we have at the Summit and the Reed Center?
Previously, we've also expanded into our local schools, as many may know. If we had a long wait list more than normal, we would certainly try and see what could be accommodated in schools. Sometimes there's easy access, sometimes depending on maintenance of the schools, there's some issues. But we've already started reaching out with the school district to see what's available. But again, right now, we're planning on pre-COVID. We haven't explored any extra at this point.
All right.
Yeah, I think one of the issues with the schools is they're not allowing too many community groups in unless it's a school related activity, right? Yeah, yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Director
good stuff.
Collins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Number 4, we have the 20-minute makeover, Waterford River cleanup. The launch date is Saturday, June 4th, 2022. So the city welcomes the 2022 annual 20-minute makeover and Waterford River cleanup on Saturday, June 4th. This long-standing annual event brings volunteers, including businesses, residents, and community groups together to help pick up litter and small debris in Powers Pond along the Waterford River banks and throughout the city. We look forward to continuing engaging the community in this wonderful initiative. A huge thank you is extended to the community groups, businesses, and residents for continuing to help make Mount Pearl beautiful. More details on location, supplies, and sponsors are being finalized and will be posted on the city's website. So this is something that is so important. And it's so great that we have this here at Mount Pearl because it certainly makes a difference. And I encourage any resident who is willing and available to come help out, because many hands make light work. And we're so lucky to live in a beautiful city. And the more we clean, the more beautiful it will become.
Yes, please, Councillor Locke.
Thank you. I'm delighted to see this here, that we've had a dedicated day, because, you know, when we started this many years ago, we always had a day on Saturday, which was a big rallying day. We'd meet at the Reed Center or another location, and you'd get different groups out, organizations out, and it was a real blitz on that day. And then we sort of fell away from having a dedicated day, and we extended it over. So I'm glad that we got this back, because that gives us, we can still continue with the ongoing, you know, summer cleanup, I call it, that residents can reach out. And, you know, I know staff here have been great, providing gloves and bags and arranging to pick up the garbage. I mean, it's not just limited to this day, but if nothing else, it puts a good dent in. If we can get a couple of hundred people out on this day and then direct them to some heavily garbaged areas. It really, really has an impact. So I'm delighted for this. We used to call it polishing the pearl, and I'm glad to see we got this back, and I'm looking forward. And I certainly will be there on Saturday, June 4th, to pick up as much garbage as humanly possible in the amount of time. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay, and I'll be passing it over to my colleague, Councillor Antle.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. I have three here. The first one is an order issued for ratification. And this is for a registered property owner, Nickel Properties, and the Elizabeth Fry Society at 53 Greenwood Crescent. The city issued a cease and desist order to the registered property owner, Nickel Properties, and to the Elizabeth Fry Society concerning the operation and business occupancy of a building operating without a permit at 53 Greenwood Crescent. The order is pursuant to the City of Mount Pearl Act, RSNL 1990 C-16 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000 and the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 and the City of Mount Pearl Building Regulations 2019 and the Occupancy and Maintenance Regulations, whereby no building shall be occupied in whole or in part until an occupancy permit has been issued and no change should be made in the use and occupancy of the building or any part thereof until a permit has been issued for the proposed occupancy and that the Elizabeth Fry Society is operating and occupying the building at 53 Greenwood Crescent without an occupancy permit. The department recommends that the issuance of the order as outlined below be ratified by council pursuant to section C-16 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000 and the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 and the City of Mount Pearl Regulations 2019 and the Occupancy Maintenance Regulations. And I'll read below the cease and desist order. In the matter of an order issued by the City of Mount Pearl concerning the operation of a business and occupancy of a building without permit at 53 Greenwood Crescent. And the two property owners were Steve Saunders of Nickel Properties and Michelle Gouju, Executive Director of the Elizabeth Fry Society. The cease and desist order. This order is pursuant to the City of Mount Pearl Act, RSNL 1990 C-16 and the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000 and the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 and the City of Mount Pearl Building Regulations 2019 and the Occupancy and Maintenance Regulations. Take notice that no building shall be occupied in whole or in part until an occupancy permit has been issued and no change should be made in the use and the occupancy of any building or any part thereof until a permit has been issued for the proposed occupancy. Take notice that the Elizabeth Fry Society is occupying the building at 53 Greenwood Crescent without an occupancy permit. And take notice that the operation of the business and occupancy of the building without the city's permits is contrary to the City of Mount Pearl's Act, RSNL 1990 C-16, Urban and Planning Act 2000, and the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010, and the Mount Pearl Building Regulations 2011. And the Occupancy and Maintenance Regulations, and no permits to operate a business or change the occupancy of the building at 53 Greenwood Crescent has been issued by the city. And take further notice that the city now orders that all operations at the subject property cease and desist within 5 weeks of receipt of this order until such a time as all proper and required permits to operate the business and occupy the building has been issued by the City of Mount Pearl. Failure to comply with this order will result in the city making necessary arrangements to enforce his order through legal means and will be undertaken without further notice. In the event that the city is required to take legal action, all associated costs will be your responsibility and collected from you. Payment of this amount will be required within 30 days of the issuance of an invoice, or the matter will be referred to the court for collection. You have the right to appeal this order. The appeal fee of $200 plus HST must be submitted to the Secretary of the Regional Appeal Board, the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs by hand delivery or mail to P.O. Box 8700 St. John's within 14 days of the date you receive this order. If the appeal and the fee are not submitted within this time limit, your right to appeal has been forfeited. You should also note that any interested person also has a right to appeal this order within the 14-day period. And this cease and desist order was dated April the 14th, 2022, and was signed by Dana Sparrow. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle, seconded by Councillor Lane. Commentary, Deputy Mayor Connolly, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know this is a matter in which we're just stating it into the record, and I just wanted to make a comment in relation to proper permitting and the balance that we do here within our chambers and within the city to ensure that proper permitting and the like is to ensure we have both the rights and privileges and safety and protection of those that are seeking them, and along with the city and the community in which they will be served within. So I know this is probably most likely a matter that will be continuing because it's the cease and desist, but there's an option, I know, with regards to occupancy permits to continue to find that. And it's important to recognize that right now as looking at knowing the work of the Elizabeth Fry Society, and particularly in addressing everything between women and gender diverse people who've been impacted by criminalized or denied or exclusion from different aspects of society, and are most likely individuals that are needing the additional supports in place. That I do hope that in future that they're moving forward in that process of an occupancy permit that is the balance within the work and the scope of what's needed for this type of programming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other further comment before I call the question to ratify the order? I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? Thank you. Motion carried.
Number 6 is the development permit list for April the 4th to April the 29th. And there's 2 there, and I so move.
Yes, please.
I noticed one of the development permits is for Rostowski dog training and cat grooming for a home office. When did we permit animal grooming as a home office use?
That would be Director Collins to answer that.
I'll have to double check the home up, the use piece, just to make sure it's correct. It was issued. I believe it does fall under the division of the home office piece for grooming, but I'll follow up with council.
Doesn't require public engagement.
No.
Because I remember there a number of years ago, there was a lady doing animal grooming, cat grooming on Tulsa Road, and she wasn't permitted to hold it there because it was a home-based business. So I was just wondering if and when that has
Good
changed.
question. Yeah. Could we take that away? Are you okay proving the permit first, Counselor? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it is moved by Counselor Antle, seconded by Counselor Lane. All in favor? Those opposed? And motion carried. And a question to be answered forthcoming. Thank you.
And the next one is the building and occupancy permit list for April the 4th to April the 29th. It's for $1,100,195, $300 to be approved. And you can check there. First one is the building construction residential. And you can see in your kit there, it's totals for $929,400. And I so move.
Moved by Counselor Antle, second again by Counselor Lane. All in favor? Motion, those opposed, and motion carried. Thank you.
And building construction commercial for the same time frame for $265,900. And I so move.
That's the commercial list. Yes, thank you. Counselor Lane and Counselor Antle, all in favor? Thank you. Those
And-
opposed, motion carried.
And the occupancy permits for the same time frame, there's 7 there, and I so move.
Moved again by Counselor Antle and second by Counselor Lane. All in favor? Those opposed? And that's carried as well. Thank you.
And that's it for me. That's it from our committee, Your Worship.
Thank you. Then now we turn to the Corporate Services and Economic Development Committee report. Deputy Mayor Kiley.
Actually, I'll take the first couple, Mayor.
Counselor Locke, thank you.
Deputy Mayor will conclude our report. Thank you. The first item for us here today is our invoices for council approval. And you can see there that we have 14 in total, and the sum total is $1,559,490.26. And you can see some of the regular fees that we're used to seeing, the Gold Bus fees that are there, and the Avalon Salt and Oil number 6 at $352,000. Our water consumption, $240,000 for January, and then it was $209,000 for February and $230,000 for March. So Water is not free and it's certainly not cheap, but I was delighted to hear Councillor Fry speak to the great initiative that we've undertaken here at the city. I was on Infrastructure Public Works Committee at the time, and I remember the ask was for an unbudgeted, I think it was a $40,000 correlator, if the device is correct, Director Antle. And our staff have been doing a bang up job with that. And again, for the information of the residents, as a you know, a regular person, I didn't know anything about water leaks in the city and, you know, the heave and thaw of the soil, and you get cracks in your water lines that seep out, and they're, before this device, they were very difficult to detect and they weren't expeditiously detected. But right now, we do a great job at this. And not only are we saving the billions of liters of water that were being released into our ground, undermining, in some cases, our other infrastructure, sidewalks and roads and parking lots and the like, but it's been a huge cost saving, a financial saving. I mean, we're in the order of, I'm sure we're creeping up to close to $1 million in savings now on water billings, you know, since we started this initiative. So, but we still have work to do, and we're always cautious and prudent about our water usage here. And we encourage our residents to continue to, you know, be prudent with the use of our water. So there are some of the ones I just wanted to highlight there. Again, the total amount for our 14 invoices is $1,559,490.26. And I move that this be accepted as presented.
Moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any comments, any questions from council or anybody else here at the meeting? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded and carried.
Thank you, Mayor. The second item that I'll present here today is our payment register and our purchase card report. The payment register covers the time period of March 31st to April 14th of 2022. And that totaled $1,833,877.39. And the purchase card report for spans from February the 28th to March the 25th of 2022. And that totaled $559,318.17. So these are presented here for the information of council. And if you have any questions, you can certainly ask away.
Hearing none, you have the floor again.
Okay, thank you. And that's it for my two items. And then I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Kiley to conclude our report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. That leaves us to our third and final agenda item under Corporate and Economic Development Committee. The third is a COA agreement with ICF, Adapting and Reimagining Community Spaces. The city was recently selected through a COA's Adapting and Reimagining Community Spaces funding program and will receive $500,000 towards the construction of a splash pad and ice rink surface in Mount Pearl. It is our intent that this would be a component of the overall design of the recently announced Civic Center, and we look forward to sharing more publicly as it is available.
It is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley, seconded by Councillor Locke. All in favor? Oh, apologies.
I'm
Councillor
going
Fry.
to, I have to withdraw from this particular vote as I'm an employee of COA.
Okay, fair enough. Noting that Councillor Fry is abstaining. I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Now, we're done the round table. No, we're not. I tried to sneak that by, didn't I? What? Who is the first person tonight? I'm going to ask our administrative assistant. Who was? Oh, I doubt it. All right, let's try that. Thank you very much. Councillor Antle, please.
And quick. First off, without disclosing, I think Councillor Locke is going to talk to it also. But I'll just give you a quick note. Last Saturday evening, a corner store here in Mount Pearl, Marie's Mini Mart, there was a gentleman walked into the store and he had a heart attack in the store. And only for the quick responses of the staff, it might have been a completely different outcome. But I was talking to the owner of the store, Mr. Kenny, And I was really surprised to hear, and I wasn't surprised, I guess I should have known, they offer first aid and CPR to their staff. And it's always updated and this kind of stuff. They were kind of behind because of COVID, but because of what they did as a small business owner, first aid and CPR, the two employees, two young gentlemen, they knew what to do. And they weren't flustered. I think Councillor Locke knows the gentleman in question. But I think as soon as we get the names, Your Worship, maybe we should do a thank you card or something, bringing those two kids. Sure. And, recognize them formally for responding so quickly. And also I'd like to bring up, welcome to the Mount Pearl's having a punk rock festival. And I think we're all looking forward to it. Like, I can't wait for punk rock. So, but I'll certainly go and enjoy it. The Pearl Rock is in a partnership with the Association for the Arts, Admiralty House, the Mount Pearl Public Library, and Seek Released. This exhibit is funded through Come Home Year 2022, and the exhibit will take place at the Annex at Admiralty House from June 3rd to August 31st. So we all have lots of opportunity to see it. So on June the 3rd at 6 o'clock, we have their opening, and it's all free. And it starts at 6 o'clock with the official opening. I'm sure the mayor and we'll all be there for to say a few words. And then at 6:45, a band comes on, Dark Era. The guy have all their albums, Mild Manners, Needlecraft, and Tunnel Vision. So I think we should all take a chance to drop up and see this. I think it's something that the kids really want to see, and it's exciting to talk about. And I've got a couple more things, Your Worship, so I'll be quick. As you all know, or maybe some of you know, I do have a motorcycle. And even though we didn't do a proclamation, May is Motorcycle Awareness Month. And right now this year, our theme is let's watch out for each other. And as May is coming by, and people are getting more and more active on their motorcycles. Have an extra look around for that one headlight coming at you. Look both ways, and you could save a life. And that's everything for me, Your Worship.
Councillor Rice, please. Thank you, Councillor Antle.
Thank you, Worship. I got a couple items. I won't elaborate on too much, although there's lots happening in the city. And I'm sure we got lots of comments from the other councillors and Deputy Mayor and yourself. So I just got a few items here. Just a reminder about bulk garbage collection May month coming up for the city. And we only have one bulk garbage now in spring. We don't have the fall one. So be mindful of your time and your date for your area. They're all zoned. So just it's on the website, but if you don't have the website, I guess you can go in, you get the brochure coming in your mail as well. Other item I wanted to comment on was the Earth Week from April 18th to the 22nd, and how ironic this slogan for this time this year was "Be Water Wise." So I looked at the water usage that we pay. I guess through St. John's, January 240,000, February 209,000, and March 230,000. It's very mindful to be water wise, and we can be, mindful of the water usage around our homes, toilet flushing and stuff like that. And I guess this would, another big item regarding Earth Week, and I want to bring the two of those together, is our recycling program. So we can do better with recycling, and we've had this discussion at IPW. Bulk garbage is costing us $84 per metric ton, and that's going into our landfills, our land areas. So I mean, they're growing. Anybody had the I guess the opportunity to visit Robin Hood Bay? It's expanding so fast down there. Like they're probably going to have to look for another area in several years to come. So landfills are filling up, and so recycling is a big thing. And we had this discussion about composting. Our recycling program is $22 per metric ton. And that doesn't go into the landfill. It goes to the Robin Hood Bay, and then it's comes back to Mount Pearl actually, and it's recycled in Mount Pearl. So like, and we discussed at our IPW meeting last Wednesday past, or 2 Wednesdays, like was it, about having a initiative and a campaign to try to push this forward. It's very, very strong on my agenda to have, and I push it every IPW meeting. So I just wanted to just bring that forward. Also, my last item on the agenda, I want to say a big congratulations to O'Donnell Senior Male Volleyball Team for winning the under 18 provincials this past weekend here in town. And we've had quite an enormous amount of medals actually that Mount Pearl teams brought over from all the schools. I'm not going to comment on all of them because it's too many. I'm sure other councils got that as well. But this O'Donnell male senior team will be attending nationals in Edmonton, May the 18th to the 25th. And these are all these kids are high school last year, so they will be graduating. And if I'm correct, I think 9 out of the 11 on the team are going on to post-secondary career, I guess, a post-secondary scholarships in volleyball. So that's quite an achievement for Richard Christopher and Jacinta, his wife. They coach the team. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Your Worship. So similar to what Councillor Rice was saying, I'm actually going to be congratulating some of our other amazing sports team here in the community. So congratulations to the Mount Pearl Intermediate Grade 8 boys volleyball team on taking home gold at the Sports NL Regionals. Congratulations to the St. Peter's Junior High Grade 9 basketball team on their silver medal performance at the Sports NL Regionals. And I'd also like to extend congratulations to O'Donnell High School's Brady Lawler for taking first place at his first race of the season at the Mundy Pond 5K. So lots of great athletes here in Mount Pearl.
Yeah, indeed. Hey, well said. Thank you. Councillor Fry.
You know, that's true. Every time I turn on Facebook, I see a congratulations to a group. And so it speaks highly of our athletics here in the city. The first thing I want to talk about today is this past Wednesday was Administrative Professionals Day. So I want to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to our own Arlene Mullins. I know she's going to kill me for pointing her out, but you know what? We appreciate it. And we appreciate all you do, Arlene. So I want to say thank you on behalf of all of us here. And as well to all of our other fabulous administrative professionals here in the city. We're very lucky and very organized thanks to them. April 28th passed was National Day of Mourning. And this is a day that commemorates workers who have been killed, injured, or suffered illness due to workplace-related hazards and incidents. Now, the health and safety of our staff is a priority here at the City of Mount Pearl, and we continually strive to ensure our workplaces are as safe as possible. And, you know, we have a great occupational health and safety team, and I know that safety is paramount to all of our staff. But, you know, when you look at our city, we have, not only do we have all of our heavy equipment and operators, I mean, there's a lot of risk, but the last couple of years with COVID, it's been a lot of risk as well. And I'm just going to say thank you to our public works team for coordinating the shifts the way you did to ensure that we always have staff available for our snow clearing. So safety is very important. And I just wanted to acknowledge the National Day of Mourning because I know it's affected a lot of people who have lost loved ones and workers during workplace injuries and deaths. April the 24th to the 30th was National Volunteer Appreciation Week. I love this week. We have a lot of volunteers in Mount Pearl, and we're so grateful, and we celebrate them because without them, many of the events and clubs and activities and initiatives that we have that add the most character and things that we're so proud of here in the city and our community is simply due to their work, and it wouldn't be possible without the volunteers that we have. So I just want to acknowledge our fabulous volunteers and say thank you for this National Volunteer Appreciation Week and for all year for all they do. Now, finally, from me, I've received a couple of emails recently regarding concerns of crosswalk safety. And I know that that's prevalent throughout the city right now because of the line painting. And I know I mentioned earlier that we will be getting to that as soon as weather permits. But it is of concern to a lot of people. And one in particular is the one on the intersection of Richard Nolan, where Carroll and Jackman intersect. And that one is of concern because there are a lot of kids that use that crosswalk and cross that area to get to school, back and forth to school. So I just wanted to ask if we could perhaps, Director Collins, if we could perhaps have enforcement, just keep an eye out on that area for a little while, especially during school, because a lot of times without the markings on the crosswalks, people forget that they're there or may not realize that they're there. And but even though the markings aren't there or aren't as prevalent, it is still a crosswalk and it is still subject to violations. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in response to Councillor Fry's discussion there on the crosswalks, I think that one in particular that you referenced as well, is that the one that's also on a bit of a turn? So if cars are speeding, it could be an issue. And I know this is a budget issue, but you know, I'll suggest we bring it back to committee to have a look at it. But perhaps in that area, we could have you know, flashing lights that come on, or reduce speeds during a particular time of the day. But you're right. Several people have commented on it. It is, like I said, a bit of a blind turn there if the cars are speeding. So I just suggest that perhaps there's something else other than the line painting, which I know we're starting this week. Hopefully, if weather permitting, or certainly in May, we'll get around to, they usually put the dots down to indicate where the lines are going to go. So that helps delineate our traffic lines. But hopefully we'll see our crosswalks started sooner rather than later. So I would just ask that go back to committee and perhaps see what other options are available. Please.
Yes, I've forwarded 2 of the emails that I received, and Director Andel's already working on that one.
Not surprised.
Right.
Thank you. With respect to what Councillor Antle said at the incident at Marie's Mini Mart and the great response by the 2 workers there, I won't get into the details of it, but it is quite commendable. First of all, that the employer sees fit to train all the staff to be proactive in that regard. Secondly, that the young folk were so cool and calm because their training really helped. They identified this individual. They saw before he collapsed that he was in some stress. And speaking with his wife last evening, there was no doubt that those 2 individuals saved the life of this gentleman, and they are extremely grateful. They referred to these 2 workers as angels who were on the spot and saved their loved ones. So I agree. Once we get all the details, certainly recognition of the 2 individuals, I think, would certainly be in order. And the last thing for me, Your Worship, is what Councillor Rice was speaking to with respect to of recycling and the uptake and the cost of bulk garbage. Some years back, we had, I think we called it upcycling. And I'm just curious as to where that still is. And essentially what it is, if my bulk garbage starts on a Monday, we had the arrangement that I could put anything out Sunday on my property that was still good. Like if I got a couch or an old bicycle, put it out on the lawn, and it's free for the taking. And then people came around and they availed of that. Now they couldn't pick through your garbage, so because we wanted to dissuade that, but the residents put out things that were bulk that were not reusable, you know, good to someone else. That was in a separate pile. And then, you know, what was deemed here. And I think Director Andrew, we may put a time frame, I think up until 1 p.m. on Sunday. And then we asked the people then to take it in. And the more we can, you know, allow that to happen, because one man's garbage could be welcome or used to someone else. So I don't know if we still have that as an initiative, because I do know that we had some campaigning around that, some on social media and to let people know. But that may be another step that we take to reduce the amount of materials going into our landfill. So yeah, I know Councillor Fry spoke to all the status updates and we talked about water. But again, we are doing a lot here in the city to do our part for climate change. And we don't blow our horns enough sometimes, but talk is cheap, but we certainly put our money where our mouth is here in the city. And we've taken numerous initiatives to help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and certainly our ecological footprint here in the city. So it's not just the water, but we are doing, but we can always do more, but at least we're heading in the right direction. Thank you, Mayor. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to also confer and agree with my colleagues Fry and Councillor Locke regarding crosswalk safety. And I'm glad that we brought it up in all sorts of ways today and that we're responding to it in an effective manner. The one in which we are talking about on Richard Nolan, in fact, that's my neighborhood. And it's something that I have seen a few times all too often. And the fact that, when we look at crosswalks, certainly prioritizing those on intersections, but certainly those that have those, a part of that is direct lines with younger people and going to school is such an important matter. And we want our students and our parents to feel that those areas are safe to be able to commute, because we want people walking and moving safely about into our cities. So I just wanted to confer with those sentiments as well. I also want to acknowledge just most recently and upcoming as well. I had the pleasure to attend a nominee gala along with many of my colleagues here today from the Mount Pearl Chamber of Commerce Best in Gala Awards. And it is an opportunity to thank both individuals, organizations, groups, and small businesses, local businesses working here in Mount Pearl and in Paradise area for all the work they're doing. And we know we're coming out of a global pandemic. So recognizing a lot of the businesses that are just allowing our city to be more economically diverse, supports our economic development, but also just the general resilience and allowing people to shop, grow, and thrive within our city is so important. So I had the opportunity to meet some of the nominees and the small businesses, and it was an absolutely great time. And I think there's no better time right now than to acknowledge and thank the small businesses that have done so much and have taken on a lot. And we know most often than not, these are individuals run by families, those that are working, living, and most of the work and the benefits go directly back into our community. So it's important to offer that. And of course, the nominees, the big day is heading on May 12th, actually, the evening. We're going to be hosting Mount Pearl Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber of Commerce will be holding and hosting the Best in Business Awards. And there's such an incredible nominees. I welcome you to check out Mount Pearl Chamber of Commerce, the website, to take a look at more. And it's just going to be a great event and a great way to recognize individuals. Additionally, I did want to, oh, sorry, looks like my screen is froze. I did want to acknowledge actually May 5th, and while we didn't again have a necessarily a proclamation, but it's an important day also because it is May 5th is also an international and recognized as the murdering and missing Indigenous women and girls, an acknowledgement of that day. And it's such an important day to recognize. In 2019 is when we had developed calls for justice, and over 2,000 individuals participated to share their stories, their experiences with gender-based violence, who are women who are also Indigenous. And we recognize the prevalence of violence, the prevalence of trauma is way too high for our women and gender diverse individuals who are Indigenous. So this is an opportunity to recognize and reflect on ways in which we can come together as community to support women, to honor and acknowledge the grief that is happening right now. This is not something that is an overnight. There's many families and communities that are still directly impacted and still many missing and will never ever have the assurance of what in fact has happened. And while it's different, I know that our community has in many ways acknowledged, if you could just look at St. David's and the small little tags that we've put across the bars just to talk about some of the children, Indigenous children who have been missing, and really talking about some of the unmarked unfortunate graves that are continuing to emerge. All of this is part and parcel of recognizing that we need to support and give visibility to our Indigenous community. So I just wanted to acknowledge that day. May 5th is again recognizing the all too often and too many individuals murdering and missing Indigenous women and girls. And that is all for me, Your Worship.
Well, thank you very much. A lot of conversation. A lot has happened in the last 4 weeks since we last met. I do want to inform the public as well and beg a bit of patience, I guess. We're in transition. We're in the middle of a departmental reorganization, which the public may or may not be aware, but when the budget was brought down for 2022, we agreed to create a public works department. I think within the coming days or weeks, sooner rather than later, we'll have a new director of public works. And I'd like to inform the public that the director of public infrastructure, let me say it this way, Director Antle has moved to infrastructure, engineering and planning. Director Collins is responsible for community development, which includes recreation and safety. Director Pittman is responsible for the corporate services area, as has been in the past. The new director will be responsible for public works, and the committee structure is going to be aligned basically with you fine folks there and the current members of council, which will include a combination of the Public Works Committee with the Corporate Services Committee. So I just want to outline that that's a big transition, which involves shuffling some people from the depot to the Summit Center to City Hall. So, you know, we're doing our best to maintain the same level of fine service that the residents can expect. I want to commend you all for getting us through this and navigating it through. CIO, would you like to make any further comment?
Thanks, Your Worship. No, I think you covered it well. It will be ongoing. We're hoping within the coming days, certainly over the next couple of weeks, to have a new director in place, which will be a great asset. And physically, the move is underway. So, but as you said, operations are ongoing and we'll be as smooth as we can in that transition.
Thank you very much. And on a final note, I want to say this coming Sunday is Mother's Day. So to all families and the moms out there, but more importantly to all families, I hope you have a great day and happy Mother's Day to everybody who works hard in their family environment, because we all know besides our professional lives, most of us, men included, family comes first, and it's an honor to basically, it's not work, is it, folks, when you have a family? Like, this is work here. But a lot of energy and time goes into keeping your family unit together. And I want to commend all of the leaders, male and female, as we celebrate families and Mother's Day this coming Sunday. So on that note, I'll call for a motion to adjourn, moved by Councillor Rice and also seconded by Councillor Locke. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.